My fellow performers, are you having a tough time on your road to success? I have 7, count them, 7 steps that you can take today, right now, as you climb your ladder to success. What are they? Stay tuned. I'm about to tell you. 7. I'm in 7, and my heart is so that I can hardly speak. I tip my hat to ya, Fred Astaire. Now we have 7, not heaven, 7 things, steps that you can take as you climb your ladder of success. Who knows? You might even win the Oscar. No, not that Oscar. That Oscar. And now, without further ado, I'm going to give you the 7 steps to success in the acting career. Are you ready? Do you have one of these? It's called a pen. It's an amazing utensil. It can write anything that you put your mind to. Now, before I give you the 7 steps, I'm going to give you 4. S-L-O-W. Slow. Yeah, that's what I said. Slow. Stay with me here. It's all going to make sense in the end. Step number 1. Study. How many hours this week or today did you study? Because studying is the building block of success. S, study. And notice, study starts with an S and so does success. Because if you're studying, you are preparing. Success is when preparation meets opportunity. So you're always in preparation mode. How many times this week are you going to study? And what are you going to study? Here's some ideas of things you should study. And I wrote them down for you. Wasn't that nice of me? Study people, actors and non-actors, because both types of people have much to offer if you will only observe. We'll go to the O in a minute. But to observe people is to study people, because characters are people too in a script. And therefore, for preparation for success, you should study people. Attend acting workshops, in person or online, or both. Stage combat, study dance steps, sing, do anything and everything you possibly can do each and every day to perfect this gift called your body. Now, I want you to think back into the 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. Now, you might say, David, I was born in the 1990s. How can I do that? Well, ask your parents, your grandparents, your aunts, your uncles, and ask them about old movies. Famous actors such as Gene Kelly, Barbra Streisand, Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, George Burns, Cary Grant, Jimmy Stewart, Claudette Colbert, Greta Garbo, Abbott Costello. These people and more, they are legends. Why are they legends? I'm going to get tough with you right now, okay? Most people today in the 21st century rely too much on this little box here, and I'm not knocking it. Thank you very much for watching my videos. Like, subscribe, and share. But the message I'm trying to get across to you today is slow down. This is why people fail auditions, because they speed up, because they look here and they look there and they look up and they look down instead of looking right at themselves and realizing that they don't have to compare themselves with other successful people, because those successful people, you have no idea of their backstory. And quite frankly, it's none of your business. Pay no attention to the man or the woman behind the curtain. Now, I gave you the S, which stands for study and success. Let's move right on to the letter L, which means look and listen. Now, when you look at something, you see it, right? You don't pay too much attention to a stop sign. You don't stop and admire how its octagon shape is so unique in comparison to a circle. We look at a lot of things all day long. Correction, let me correct myself. We glance at things like this. We look around. We look, but we don't actually listen. Now, David, I think you got some screws loose. Look and listen are 2 different things. But when we look at things, we don't really observe them. But if we listen closely to what we're looking at, isn't it the truth that when we look at something, we have a choice? We have a choice to pass it by or to listen. So instead of looking at everything and glancing at it for a while, my suggestion is that as you're studying life and studying acting, stop. Listen. Don't look so much. Listen. Because looking is glancing nowadays. Listen to what the director is saying. Listen to what your family and friends are saying or not saying. We learn by images. Listen to the beat of your heart. Listen. Slow down and listen. You'll be amazed. You'll be amazed at your transformation. One beautiful thing that slows me down from the pace of New York City is going to Central Park. Of course, I see things, but I'm listening more than seeing. You remember things when you listen, not when you glance, not when you look. It becomes a part of your autonomy. It becomes a part of your kinetic memory or muscle memory. Great actors listen. They don't just look. Which brings me and you to the letter O. Be objective, but observe. Be objective. Pull the pan, pull yourself back and get the master shot. While you're listening and studying and preparing for success, be objective. Because if you see the whole picture, you'll be able to slow down and get a clearer picture of what's going on around you. And then you'll be able to observe. Now, observing something is kind of like listening, isn't it? Because you're listening to all the details. You're listening, this may sound a little weird, but you're listening to the colors. You're listening to the sounds, the reverberations of the city or the country. You're listening and you're observing because you're stepping back and being objective and taking the whole picture in instead of just glancing at it and just not taking the time to slow down and study life. You and I as actors, we study life, don't we? Most of the time when we're online, we glance, we look, and we do without thinking, without studying, without slowing down, being objective and observing exactly what are my results today when I'm looking on Facebook for 3.5 hours? Am I just doing this to kill time? How boring is that? What kind of life do you have? What kind of life do I have? When we feel we have to do this and we're finding nothing. We're looking at a bunch of nothing. Use your time wisely, which brings us to the letter W. The letter W is a fantastic word, and it has to do with patience. W stands for wait. When you're studying, you're waiting for success. When you're listening, you're waiting for something to look at. When you're observing objectively, you're waiting for something significant to happen in your life because you are studying. Now, these are the 7 steps that I want you to practice and me to practice every single day. And it takes time we study for success. We listen instead of just look. We objectively observe and step back. And we wait. And we wait for things to happen as we prepare, as we slow down. Now, what I'm teaching you today might not be too trendy or popular, but they are seeds. But they are things that began at the beginning of time with Adam and Eve. You want to be a success in this industry and in life and in your relationships and everything that you do. If you want to get the most out of life, you study life. You listen and not just look. You observe objectively. And you wait things to happen that you really, really want to happen. Don't jump the gun. Dive into something just because it pays well. Because it might not line up with who you are. Because you and I are always becoming something every single moment of our life each day. The Bible says, Proverbs, as a man thinks in his heart, so he becomes. You're becoming something right now, and I hope I helped you today. If you need a coach, I might be the one for you. DavidThompsonCoaching.co, DavidThompsonCoaching.co. Good things will come to people who slow down.